The press pool says they heard gunshots fired near the White House, and reporters there are currently on lockdown. One correspondent says they heard multiple shots and Secret Service telling them to get down. ABC is reporting that the White House North Lawn has been cleared by Secret Service. We are currently monitoring the situation. We'll let you know when we get more information. Kevin, I want to take it back to you, D.C. resident here. Yep. It feels like these things just keep happening.
Yeah, and especially when you consider how close to a major thoroughfare the White House is. If you go down 17th, which is just on the other side of the Eisenhower Executive Office building, there's tons of traffic over there. You could easily hear gunshots, and it's also accessible. You can walk up and down the promenade right along Pennsylvania, and so unless it's blocked off, sometimes they block it off. But things like this do happen. The electromagnetic locks engage immediately, and when they say you are locked in that building. You can pull, push, you cannot get out. If you're on the North Lawn when something like this happens, and that's happened to me before, Secret Service comes out literally out of everywhere. The guard shack, the bushes, and they escort you all the way back into the building, and then they clear the lawn. But in this circumstance, we've seen this happen, sadly, too often. Hopefully it's nothing, but obviously they're watching it very carefully, and as we get more, we'll pass that along.
Alicia, these reporters, obviously a lot of presence there today due to this Iran potential peace deal. So a lot of activity, a lot of interest, of course, in what's going on in D.C. and in the White House. What do you make of the press? Again, we just had the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I mean, this feels, to Kevin's point, maybe this is not unheard of, but it feels like this is a disturbing pattern if this is indeed something horrific.
Probably a lot of the correspondents who were on lockdown were also on lockdown inside the ballroom the night of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. So they're dealing with this yet again. Secret Service, thank goodness, on it. But once again, here we are once again, and that's the problem. Again, like you mentioned, we don't know if this is a shooting that happened outside the White House that has nothing to do with the White House. The proximity makes it very concerning and makes us all wonder, why are we talking about this again? Why is this happening again? Why this president possibly again? Dealing with these fears of gunshots revolving around this administration is not right, and it hurts, like, to see this happening. Are you seeing something?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, and I love what you had to say there. The pictures you're looking at right there on your screen, that is 17th that we just mentioned on the other side of the Eisenhower Executive Office building. You're going to see, if you look to the right, you see the dark-colored vehicles there. Secret Service, they typically collect there. Usually there's between 6 and 8 Secret Service vehicles right there as you have an opportunity to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm looking carefully to see if there's any movement north, because as you go north, there's actually a pretty large building set aside just for Secret Service and other security officials. So as we take a look there, as we're watching now an ambulance come down, that's obviously concerning, and we're looking for more information as we get it. Of course, we'll keep passing that along. Tommy and Alicia, what did you have to add?
Well, we haven't heard of any injuries just yet, but we're continuing to check to see if we're getting any new confirmation on what this could have been. Yeah, you mentioned the ambulance there. That's the part that makes us all start to wonder, right? Yeah. Again, is something else going on?
Were the precaution just because
it could be?
We're
yes.
not taking any chances, right? So we don't want to jump to any conclusions. But, you know, Tom, to this point, you were sitting at the table with us the day of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and then Kevin and Alicia were here to the wee hours of the morning. We don't know what this is, but the Secret Service, law enforcement, they have to take every precaution if they hear anything that sounds like gunshots this close to the White House in D.C. I mean, I would expect this posture.
Yes, and after the White House Correspondents' Dinner, there was about a week of people on, all sorts of networks saying, "How did this happen?" And they were kind of after the Secret Service. They were saying, "Oh, they should have been more on this." The thing is, this is complicated stuff. The president, the president could be a shut-in. He could stay in the basement. He could stay locked down. But he's out there. He's out not only meeting world leaders, he's going to dinners. He wanted to go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. So the White House wants to be active. They want to be out there in the world, and they have to make it as safe as possible. So in that case, I thought under the current situation. I've been down there. I was only down at that White House Correspondents' Dinner one time. It's multi-level. You can't lock down the whole building.
Yeah.
They did enclose the area where the president was, and they had that under control. That's why they did catch the guy. So at the time, I thought people were giving them a little bit of a hard time. The organizers of the event, the Secret Service. There's only so much you can do.
Right.
Kevin?
Yeah, I was just looking if we can get that shot back. It may have been a local shot there. Actually, that shot went down. We're going to see if we can get that back for you. There was an ambulance setting up there. And what I wanted to mention was, in a situation of this nature, it's not just obviously the Secret Service, it's also Capitol Police, it's Washington Metro Police, and a cadre of other agencies that are all in and around that area. And what's interesting is, to the northwest of the main gate of the White House, where typically the press and other visitors might enter, you do have that collection, as I pointed out right there. In fact, that looks like that may be the guard shack. You do have that entrance, but you also have sort of a crossroads of several different streets. You have Pennsylvania, which moves at an angle. You have 17th, which is north and south. You also have I Street, which crosses just to the north of Lafayette Park. And so you have sort of several blocks of entry to the White House complex. And that's what makes it, to Tom's point, so difficult to engage in a lockdown circumstance like this, because it could be on any side of the White House at any given time, and people have to quickly spring into action. And as we look at some of the pictures, we did see an ambulance pull up there on the upper right-hand side of the screen there. I didn't see anyone getting in or out with respect to personnel, but I think that's something we'll also follow and see if by chance someone may have been hit by gunfire or if this is precautionary.
One other thing right now, the FBI Director Kash Patel has put out a statement on X. FBI is on the scene and supporting Secret Service responding to shots fired near White House grounds. We will update the public as we're able. And folks should remember, today, Don Jr., the president's son, is getting married. Yep. And the president himself said that he couldn't go because he had to stay in town in D.C. to continue with these negotiations with regard to Iran. What we don't know just yet is exactly where the President of the United States is as we are watching all of this unfold outside the White House.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.